The most expensive tax you pay isn't financial. It's the wisdom tax. It's the years you spend learning lessons that could have been acquired in minutes. Stop paying it. This is the instruction manual to upgrade your mind, master your focus, and finally close the gap between knowing what to do and actually doing it. The most expensive price you pay in life isn't financial. It's something I call the wisdom tax. It's the decades you spend slowly, painfully learning lessons that a few people somehow acquire in minutes. Think of it. It's the frustration of finally succeeding at something and the very next thought being, why on earth did it take me 20 years to figure this out? We've all been there. That moment when one tiny simple insight suddenly makes years of struggle unnecessary. That right there is the wisdom tax hitting your emotional and mental bank account. Most of us spend the better part of our lives discovering, through painful trial and error, a simple truth. Life isn't random. It follows predictable patterns. Once you recognize these patterns, everything changes. The space between where you are right now and the person you know you could be isn't just about hard work or more knowledge. It's about having the right knowledge applied at the right moment. It feels like we're all playing the same grand game of life, but some people, the ones who seem to glide effortlessly past obstacles, got an instruction and manual the rest of us miss. The fascinating part. These instructions aren't hidden in some ancient vault. They are hidden in plain sight, obscured only by our own rigid assumptions about how the world, and more importantly, how we work. This journey is about uncovering those hidden instructions. The insights I'm going to share took me decades to piece together, but they are the foundational mental models that could save you years of unnecessary struggle and dramatically cut down your wisdom tax bill. So, where do we start? We start at the absolute bottom floor with the most fundamental realization. Your mental models determine what is possible for you. Your mental models are your invisible operating system, the silent software running your entire life. They dictate what opportunities your brain can even perceive, what solutions your mind deems viable, and what kind of outcomes feel truly possible for you. Yet most of us never ever examine them. We are, quite literally, like fish who are completely unaware of the water they are swimming in. It's just the environment, the default setting. Have you ever noticed how two completely different people can look at the exact same challenging situation, say a market crash or a job loss, and see two entirely different possibilities? One sees utter disaster, the other sees a massive opportunity. That difference isn't due to their personality, it's due to their mental models at work. Let me give you a concrete example. The most common mental model around time is one of scarcity. There is never enough time. This model forces you to operate constantly in a state of frantic efficiency, trying to cram more and more into each day. But what if time abundance is actually possible, not through sheer speed, but through intention and design? Instead of trying to manage minutes, you fundamentally reimagine your entire relationship with time. That shift. The one where you move from time is limited to I can create intentional space, is a mental model upgrade. We are such funny creatures. We will spend years in school mastering complex software like calculus or Excel, yet we refuse to spend even 20 minutes truly understanding the operating system that runs our mind. This is a critical error. Here's the essential reality check. Your mental models are either a powerful bridge leading you toward maximum possibilities or a stubborn barrier holding you back from progress. Upgrading them is not just an activity. It is the highest leverage activity available to you. It's the moment you finally stop changing the furniture and start renovating the foundation of the house. There is a catch, though. Seeing your own mental models is notoriously difficult. It's like trying to see the back of your own head without a mirror. You can't do it with forward-facing effort alone. You need reflection tools. One of the most powerful reflection tools is inversion, a practice championed by thinkers throughout history. Instead of asking, how do I achieve the outcome I want? You flip the script and ask, what must I absolutely avoid to prevent failure? When you invert the problem, you often uncover obvious obstacles that your forward-thinking brain completely ignored. Another powerful tool is actively seeking evidence against your most cherished beliefs rather than confirming them. Most people naturally suffer from confirmation bias. We only read, watch, and listen to things that prove we are already right. The truly effective way to upgrade your OS is to deliberately seek out high-quality information that challenges your existing framework. These mental model upgrades alone can rewire how you approach every challenge in your life. But they require something most people instinctively resist: deliberate discomfort, because growth, by its very nature, happens on the edge of what you currently think is possible. You have to be willing to feel foolish for a moment to become wise forever. If your mental models are the invisible operating system running your life, then the most valuable currency you possess is your attention. We live in a world that is not just competitive, but designed to fracture and monetize your focus. Everything, from the apps on your phone to the layout of a grocery store, is engineered to pull your attention away from your intended goal and direct it towards something someone else wants to sell you. In this environment, the ability to deliberately direct your focus is no longer a soft skill. It is an absolute superpower. Yet most of us never learn to manage this superpower. We are rigorously taught time management from childhood. We learn to use calendars, prioritize tasks, and squeeze every drop of efficiency out of our 24 hours. But think about it. We all have the exact same 24 hours as the most successful or productive person you know. The difference isn't the quantity of time. It's the quality of focused attention they deploy within that time. Trying to manage your time without first mastering your attention is like being handed a leaky bucket and being told to simply carry more water. You can run faster, you can take more trips, but until you fix the holes, the constant distractions, the context switching, the endless inputs, you'll always be exhausting yourself for minimal results. Here is the essential realization that took me far too long to grasp. Attention management matters infinitely more than time management. Consider a simple scenario. You sit down to work on a high-leverage, complex project. You spend 2 hours on it. Person A spends those 2 hours in a state of deep, uninterrupted flow, focused purely on creative output. Person B spends those 2 hours checking email every 10 minutes, glancing at social media, and responding to every notification chime. They both logged 120 minutes. Who moved the needle? Who paid less of the wisdom tax? Person A every single time. Their focused attention determined everything. Most people's attention today is utterly fragmented, sliced into tiny, ineffective slivers across dozens of inputs, outputs, notifications, and distractions. We are constantly in a state of what the neuroscientists call continuous partial attention. This isn't just inefficient. It fundamentally hinders deep work, complex problem solving, and the integration of new knowledge. You can't upgrade your mental models if you never create the mental quiet necessary to examine them. The solution isn't to try and multitask harder. Multitasking is a myth. It's just rapid, exhausting context switching. The solution is to practice radical selectivity. This brings us to a powerfully counterintuitive insight: the power of selective ignorance. We live in the first era of human history where the problem isn't accessing information, it's aggressively filtering it. The sheer volume of data, news, opinions, and social feeds is an information fire hose, and most of us are trying to drink from it. Yet, we still behave as if consuming more information automatically leads to better decisions. It doesn't. You don't need the entire library. You need the one specific book that contains the breakthrough insight for your current challenge. The wisdom that transforms lives isn't about knowing 1,000 trivial things. It's about knowing the right things and applying them consistently, even aggressively. We are so busy in the act of consuming information, reading headlines, listening to podcasts, doom scrolling, that we never create the quiet mental space necessary for integration and implementation. It's the critical difference between endlessly collecting ingredients for a meal and actually, finally, cooking and eating the meal. This requires a fundamental paradigm shift. You must start treating your attention with the same extreme care, caution, and reverence as your most valuable financial investment. Every click, every notification, every time you let your mind drift to an unimportant task is a small but compounding withdrawal from your focus account. How do you do this? You design your environment for focus, which is topic 5, but for now, the key is awareness. Start measuring your attention span quotient ASQ instead of just your IQ. Recognize that anything you consume that doesn't directly serve your highest goals is an attack on your ability to implement. The moment you define your attention as your most precious, finite currency, you suddenly become fiercely protective of how and where you spend it. This shift from passively reacting to stimuli to actively directing your focus is the trade that pays back the wisdom tax instantly. You know now that your attention is your most valuable currency. But turning that focus into permanent change requires a reliable framework, a system for making high-leverage decisions every single day. Stop waiting years to learn simple lessons. If you're ready to drastically cut your wisdom tax bill and accelerate your transformation, I've put the entire system into one place. Check out my new guide, 30 Days to a Better You. It breaks down the exact daily habits and decision frameworks that will help you cross that gap from focused awareness to decisive action all in 1 month. The link is below. Don't just manage your time, master your decisions. Grab your copy now. Your life, when you boil it down to its essence, is simply the sum of your decisions. Every major pivot, every relationship, every financial position you find yourself in can be traced back to a choice made at some point. This makes it truly bizarre that nobody ever taught us how to make high-quality decisions in school. We were taught calculus, but not how to choose a career path. We memorized historical dates, but not how to evaluate life options with lasting clarity. It's a massive gap in our collective operating system, and it contributes hugely to the wisdom tax we all pay. We drift through life letting impulse, fear, or simply the path of least resistance dictate our trajectory, only to realize years later that a different, more deliberate choice would have saved us untold heartache and struggle. To close this implementation gap and reclaim your future, you need to deliberately upgrade your decision-making processes. You need to become an architect, not just a resident of your own choices. Let me share 3 decision-making upgrades that fundamentally shifted my trajectory and allowed me to stop running in circles. For any truly important decision, one that involves significant time, money, or a major life change, you must give yourself at least 72 hours before committing. In today's hyper-connected, fast-paced world, we are conditioned for instant reaction. A text comes in, we respond instantly. An opportunity arises, we jump immediately. This speed often bypasses the executive function of the brain, allowing emotional impulse or fear of missing out, FOMO, to take the driver's seat. The 72-hour rule creates a necessary, non-negotiable space between the initial impulse and the irreversible action. This is the space where genuine wisdom lives. During those 3 days, you don't necessarily need to analyze it constantly. You just need to let the problem sit. Sleep on it 3 times. Let your subconscious mind work on it. This simple act of delayed gratification allows your deeper values to surface and your upgraded mental models to offer cooler, clearer counsel. If the decision feels just as good or better after 72 hours of reflection, you move forward with confidence. If not, you've saved yourself from a high-cost mistake. Most people are strictly first-order thinkers. They only consider the immediate effects of their decisions. First-order thought. If I eat this donut, I get immediate pleasure. First-order thought. If I quit this job, I immediately stop being stressed. Successful decision makers, the ones who consistently bypass the wisdom tax, practice second-order thinking. They are masters of the long game. They don't just ask, what happens next? They ask, and then what? And what might result from that next thing? Second-order thought on the donut. I get pleasure, and then what? I feel sluggish, my blood sugar spikes, and it compromises my commitment to my long-term health identity. Second-order thought on quitting the job. I stop being stressed immediately, and then what? The lack of income creates financial stress, and I may panic take a worse job. A better decision would be to find a new job first, then quit the current one. This simple analytical step forces you to look several moves ahead on the chessboard of your life. It prevents you from solving an immediate problem by creating a bigger future problem. It transforms reactionary living into strategic architecture. Perhaps the most powerful decision-making tool is inversion. We discussed it briefly as a mental model tool, but it works wonders for problem solving. Instead of only asking the traditional, forward-looking question, how do I get what I want? You must ask the inverted question. What is currently preventing me from getting what I want? This simple flip is profound because it resolves problems that purely forward thinking can't touch. When you focus only on the goal, how do I become successful? You generate theoretical paths that might or might not be relevant to your current reality. When you focus on the constraint, what is currently causing me to fail? The answers reveal your actual concrete obstacles, the things you need to remove right now. Don't ask, how do I lose 20 pounds? Ask, what must I stop doing that is causing me to gain weight? Answer, the late night snacking. Don't ask, how do I become a better writer? Ask, what must I stop doing that is preventing me from writing? Answer, checking email every 5 minutes. It's funny, isn't it? We'll question a $20 purchase for hours, debating the value and necessity, but we rarely question beliefs or habits we've held for decades that cost us years of time and emotional energy. The key insight that ties all 3 decision upgrades together is this. Most problems in life are not solved through brilliant, complex solutions. They are solved through better, clearer problem definition. If you are diligently solving the wrong problem, it doesn't matter how good your solution is. You're still paying the wisdom tax on poor decisions. Better decisions require deliberate practice, but they are the fastest way to compound success. We've talked about upgrading your mental operating system and mastering your attention to make high leverage decisions. But now we arrive at the most frustrating problem facing the modern seeker of self-improvement: the implementation gap. This is the vast, often unseen chasm that exists between knowing what to do and actually doing it. We live in an age of unprecedented access to information. Every self-help book, every successful person's routine, every piece of wisdom is available on your phone in seconds. Yet, true transformation, permanent, lasting change, remains as elusive as ever for most people. Why? Because we have been culturally programmed to radically overvalue knowledge and tragically undervalue implementation. Think about it. We celebrate the person who reads 100 books a year. We admire the depth of their knowledge. But how often do we celebrate the person who reads one powerful book and fully implements the wisdom from it, fundamentally changing their life? It's almost always the former. We're applause drunk for information consumption, and we pay a massive wisdom tax in the form of wasted effort because of it. Most advice, most knowledge, most self-help is like trying to download the latest, most powerful software to a computer that is still running on an ancient operating system. The information itself is theoretically correct, but the implementation environment, the user's daily habits, routines, and physical space, isn't compatible. The information stalls out. Here is the breakthrough insight that dismantles the implementation gap. Tiny, consistent actions always trump sporadic, heroic efforts. This is the power of the compound effect, and it applies to everything, not just money. Your habits, your relationships, your knowledge base, your emotional state. They are all compounding, either for the better or for the worse. When you truly internalize this concept, you realize that small daily actions aren't just a nice habit. They are the entire game. They are the 1% changes that over a year deliver 37 times the results. This is why the person who meditates for 10 minutes daily will experience far more authentic, lasting transformation than the person who does a heroic, one weekend a year meditation retreat. The daily, small action builds the necessary system. Where most people stumble is their approach to enacting change. They try to power through the gap using sheer willpower. Willpower is the motivational equivalent of trying to drive your car by getting out and pushing it. It's technically possible to move forward, but it is wildly inefficient, exhausting, and unsustainable. Willpower is a finite resource. It fluctuates based on your sleep, your nutrition, your emotional state, and the decisions you've already made that day. It runs out. Relying on it is setting yourself up for guaranteed failure, or at least setting yourself up to pay the full wisdom tax every time you start a new routine. The person who tells you they are disciplined is often misleading you. They aren't disciplined because they have a superhuman reserve of willpower. They are disciplined because they have systematically designed their life to require less of it. This brings us directly to the next level of transformation. You must shift your focus from willpower to system design. You must learn to automate your success. You must learn how to create an environment where the right decision, the high leverage decision from topic 3, is the path of least resistance, not the path of most effort. That is the only way to permanently close the knowing-doing chasm. We have traveled from the philosophical realization of the wisdom tax to the practical mechanics of high leverage decisions and system design. Now, we arrive at the final, most transformative step: ensuring that the changes you make are not temporary, but are woven into the very fabric of who you are. This is the shift from focusing on goals to focusing on identity. Most change efforts fail because they target the wrong level of change. They focus on behavior when they should be focused on the belief system underneath that behavior. They target the symptom, not the root cause. This is a crucial distinction that separates those who succeed temporarily from those who experience permanent, compounding transformation. Think about the difference between these two statements: I need to run a marathon, a goal-based approach. I am a runner, an identity-based approach. The person who identifies as a runner doesn't need to force themselves out the door with Herculean willpower every morning. Running isn't a chore. It's simply an expression of who they are. It's the default setting of their mental operating system. For the goal-based person, every run is a negotiation with themselves. For the identity-based person, Skipping a run feels like a contradiction to their self-concept. Identity-based habits create lasting change, while goal-based ones typically fail. This is why the person who says, I am the kind of person who exercises daily, will outperform and outpersist the person who merely says, I need to exercise more every single time. It's the difference between having a habit and being the habit. Let's make this concrete. Instead of saying, I want to write a book, start saying, I am a writer. Notice how different these statements feel. One is about an aspiration, an outcome in the distant future. The other is about a declaration of being in the present moment. The moment you declare, I am a writer, your brain automatically begins looking for behaviors that validate that identity. Sitting down at the keyboard, observing the world, taking notes. You probably know someone who's been trying to quit smoking for years, constantly focusing on the goal of quitting. But have you noticed how the person who finally succeeds is often the one who begins saying, I'm not a smoker anymore, and truly embodying that identity? That awkward moment when you discover that many of your choices were actually just social scripts that you passively accepted. The most powerful identity shift happens when you truly internalize this truth. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness that observes your thoughts. This realization is the pinnacle of the mental model upgrade. Your thoughts, your fears, your self-doubt, your impulses are simply data that crosses the screen of your consciousness. They are not mandates. They are not your immutable essence. When this truly lands, you stop being a victim of your negative mental patterns and start becoming their architect. You realize you have the power to select which thoughts to amplify and which to simply observe and dismiss. This powerful shift in identity now feeds directly back into the necessity of system design from topic 4. Environment design trumps willpower every single time. This is not motivational advice. It's mathematical reality. Willpower is a finite, fluctuating resource. A battery that drains throughout the day. Your environment, however, is a consistent, ever-present force that either supports or sabotages your identity. When you understand this, you stop trying to become a more disciplined person and start creating an environment where discipline isn't necessary for your desired outcome. If your goal is to be the person who eats healthy identity, stop relying on willpower. Instead, design a system where healthy eating is the default system. Never buy junk food in the first place. System. Prepare healthy meals in advance. System. Put the salad ingredients at eye level in the fridge. You are essentially creating a physical and digital world where your ideal identity is the path of least resistance. The successful people you admire aren't superhumanly disciplined. They've just created automated systems that make success the easiest thing to do. This leads to the final counterintuitive insight. Focus on systems instead of goals. Goals are about the destination, running the marathon. Systems are about the journey, the daily habit of putting on running shoes. Goals provide directional clarity, but systems create results. The goal isn't the point, the system is. When you get the system right, when you build the identity of the runner and design the environment to support it, the goals take care of themselves. By focusing on who you are becoming identity and how you are living system, you permanently integrate the high leverage decisions that allow you to stop paying the wisdom tax and start living a life where success is simply the natural, effortless output of your self-designed operating system.